Hello, everybody. Welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup. It is April 23rd, 2022. Thank you for joining us this evening. Tonight, we'll be talking about the surprise announcement of, for some reason, Godzilla and Kong making their way to Caldera on Warzone. Little interesting timing there, especially since that movie came out a little while ago. We'll also be talking about, of course, the leak surrounding Game Boy games making their way to Nintendo Switch Online and the potential for some sort of crossover with a Nintendo Switch Online or existing Nintendo Switch Online component. And we'll also be talking about how the Portal writer, one of the Portal writers, is really pushing Valve to let him start working on a Portal 3 setup. So there's that and more, of course, here on the Weekly News Roundup, but we're going to roll our intro first and then get things started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup for the week of November 20th, 2020. It is Friday. It is, where's my date? It's September 18th. 2020 here to our first story, and this is actually breaking news for all of us right now here too. Figured this is kind of a big one to cover, of course, with who it is. Joined via Discord by Kyle because we're in the midst of a pandemic still, and of course everything is all kinds of crazy. So this thing is a chonker. I mean,
yeah, it's a beast.
It's huge. Doing that we had the Resident Evil stuff, that they were successful with Castlevania. Welcome to another NPC's Weekly News Roundup. And it's the news time. I am joined, of course, by Kyle via Discord. Kyle, hello.
What's up?
Man. And here we are, everybody. Guess what? It is time for the news. Apologies for not being here last week. Of course, I ended up experiencing some type of crazy illness there, so definitely needed a break for sure over that weekend. But we're back. Of course, my name is Travis, and right next to me here on Discord is Kyle. Hi, Kyle.
What's up?
It's a lot of news, actually, and some interesting stuff.
Some of it bizarre.
Some of it bizarre, and one of them almost not really, like, surprising. I'll let you guess which one is maybe the not surprising. No, that's okay. We're going to hold off on that.
There's a few of them that kind of aren't surprising to me, honestly.
I think at this market, probably not. Well, yeah. Let's do this then. Let's just go ahead and hop right into our first one. And of course, it's the thing we love talking about almost every week, and it's not NFTs this time. It's Halo Infinite. 343 officially dropped a roadmap showing what's going on through Season 2 and, of course, the upcoming Season 3, but confirmed in the Season 3 roadmap that campaign co-op will not be launching until late August, and Forge will not be getting any sort of release, or at least a full release. They'll be getting a beta release sometime in the later part of this year within Season 3 itself. But, Kyle, I think for everything we've looked at here with Halo Infinite, you know, it is kind of a disappointment to see that it's going to take that long to get there, like almost the, several months closer to the 1 year anniversary of the game's launch to see a core mechanic finally get out there. What do you think about that?
Well, count this one as not surprising. I mean, I feel like even getting and I forgot the name of the company again, getting them involved, making the additional play modes and whatnot, they're still stretched thin, and I don't know. I saw the roadmap coming a little while ago, and I wish they wouldn't have. I don't know. I hate this idea of roadmaps, that companies keep having to put out roadmaps. It's just, why don't you just complete the stuff and throw it out and go, hey guys, we got new content for you,
Exactly. And the dev is Certain Affinity, who has supported...
that's the one.
Yeah, has supported Bungie and 343 on the Halo series, going all the way back to map creation and some back-end development support, with Halo 2. So, they definitely have a big tenure with supporting things on Halo. So them coming in and kind of doing that rumored Battle Royale is one thing, but... yeah, maybe they're helping to contribute as well, too, to the rest of the roadmap. Maybe things will move faster. But you are right. Them putting out a roadmap is just the expectation to put that type of stuff out for a game is kind of the norm. But it feels weird for Halo.
Yeah. I don't know. Roadmaps feel very crutchy to me. I don't know if that's even a word, but I just, yeah. And the whole Forge, being in beta as soon as the end of Season 2, potentially, maybe that's a little preemptive. I think maybe we should have focused on co-op campaigns since that was a core mechanic, kind of since the beginning. So, and we didn't have it at launch. Maybe that was a little bit more important than Forge. I understand the need for Forge, especially with the ability for other people to make more play modes, more maps that could potentially get added to the game. But I don't know. It's I feel like it's a poor choice to put out this roadmap and to say, hey, we're targeting this, but oh, you're gonna have a Forge, beta. Why not just say, hey, we're gonna give you campaign co-op in full, and then, you know, we're targeting a full Forge release launch right after that.
True. Yeah, so like I've got the roadmap up here. Screen cap is actually from Halo Waypoint, but we're looking here at this article from VideoGamesChronicle.com, and so it says here, of course, we know season 2 starts in a few weeks, or actually, it's yeah, just under what is that? That's what is that? 10 days? It looks like, yeah. So in 10 days, we'll have season 2 kickoff. We've got new maps. We've got new game modes. We've got a new narrative event called Interference. Then there's Alpha Pack. We've got, of course, the new Battle Pass. We've got a new Fracture event, which isn't Tenrai. It's actually called Entrenched. We've got Campaign Network Co-op, which is set for late August, again, as we talked about here. We've got Campaign Mission Replay in late August as well. And because if you want to be able to go back and play the original missions, you're not going to be able to do so unless you start over from the beginning. Forge Open Beta in September, and then just your normal quality of life improvements, which it sounds like they've actually fixed a lot of things that have been causing some gripes, especially on PC side. Then, of course, over here, we got the Season 3 side of it. So new Battle Pass, new maps, new modes, new sandbox items, new narrative events, new Fracture event, Forge Open Beta, quality of life improvements, and then Campaign Split Screen Co-op, which is it's not just like the campaign network co-op, meaning that, of course, like Kyle and I can get online and play, but split screen is having two people sitting next to each other playing the game on the same console at the same time. So that's the roadmap. That's what it is. Maybe part of it is just like, I'm thinking maybe part of it is relating to maybe they're feeling more confident internally to be able to put these dates out. And it's also more of an accountability thing to them instead of what they've been doing so far, is that they're trying to put more accountability on themselves, saying we are aiming for these, and we're really putting ourselves out there to say we're doing it. But it's, I don't know. I mean, I'll still play when these things come out.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. At least I know that they're actually still attempting to show that, hey, we're coming out with content and we're hitting these dates. So
yeah,
I guess I'll have something to look forward to after the long lull of playing the same season, over and over. And we discussed in previous recordings and whatnot that it gets dull. Even with the Fractured Tenrai event, and I think there was another event that they did,
Cyber Showdown.
Yeah, the Cyber Showdown. It's kind of like, well, I completed the season already, and it's few and far between when we get the actual missions to get an item. So
yeah,
why bother?
Yeah, and I can understand some of that sentiment too. I think part of it right now is, I mean, at least is like we've said before, is that there are other things to go out and play, and of course, once we see some of these things happen, it's like we're going to come back. Halo's a fun time to play, but yeah, as you run out of kind of these things to excel at, it kind of runs into a weird position. So we've only got 10 days left, and then we can go ahead and hop on again and start playing this again. Get through this battle pass and get through these different events. I'm really excited to try out King of the Hill, the modifications to King of the Hill, and then Last Spartan Standing. We actually want to be able to play together, because that's only you can only join up as a single player in there. You can't be in a squad. So maybe we'll just have to try to time it together to actually join the game at the same time and see if we can get into the same lobby.
Right.
Yeah. But with that, of course, though, if you want more details on the roadmap, of course, for Halo Infinite and all the different things coming out for it. Be sure to go over to Halo Waypoint and check out what they have there. And my nose is bothering the hell out of me. That wind has been blowing up so much crap today. It's been driving everybody in the house crazy. But let's move on here to probably the more bizarre news of the week, more than anything. Godzilla and King Kong are going to be joining Warzone, and for some reason they say Warzone as operators in
What?
In May. Yeah, they actually that's what it looks like. So it looks like what's going to be happening is that Godzilla and King Kong are going to be part of a event in Warzone over on Caldera called Operation Monarch. May 11th is when that drops. However, there's no idea of exactly what's going to occur in this event itself. Let me go ahead and bring up the actual trailer for it to play here in the background. Let's see here.
I guess now anything is possible in Call of Duty.
Well, part of it makes me think that this is like there's a couple things with it. I think is well, let me go ahead and bring this up here.
It wasn't until
I think part of it is that it's kind of like what Fortnite has done. Like when they had the big robot fighting the big monster, you know. It's like that was kind of one of those things to help with, you know, or to it drove a lot of people in. So is that what you're going to see here? You know, is that what you're going to see happen? Is just you're going to be playing Warzone like you normally would, but then here's Godzilla and Kong fighting, and it will manipulate the map as you play. So, you know, you land in a spot, Kong hits Godzilla, Godzilla goes down, and does that mess up part of the map, and you can't do anything, you know? Does it do that?
I wonder if there's like any way you could support one or the other. Like help Kong win or help Godzilla win. That'd be kind of interesting.
Like maybe like if you shot Godzilla with an RPG or something, it distracted him a little bit. You know, Kong could sneak up and do something. Like a dynamic event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Kind of like root for your champion.
Yeah, but here's the question.
But while the combat's going on, I just don't understand how this is Call of Duty whatsoever, but I don't know. Whatever, right?
Well, the reason why I'm confused by it is because Godzilla vs. Kong, the movie, released just over a year ago. March 31st, 2021 is when that movie came out. And I don't understand why the collaboration now. Like, you'd figure that a lot of it would want to be more timed to the actual release of the movie when the content's out there versus something almost a year later, unless maybe we're getting ready to see Legendary Pictures drop a new trailer for the next phase of things with Godzilla and King Kong. I don't know.
Maybe. I couldn't tell you. Yeah, it still just totally baffles me. This is one that came out of left field this week for me, so.
Yeah. But I do like that idea. I mean, they are going to be having a whole new event here starting in the next few days. On April 27th, Warzone and Vanguard are going to be getting a new season called Classified Arms. It's going to have, you know, all the different things that the seasons normally do.
Right.
But yeah, Operation Monarch is going to be a part of it. But, you know, maybe they will do something that is dynamic enough to modify the map, like what we saw with stuff in Fortnite. You know, I had a thought maybe that as you're jumping in, maybe like let's say you jump out of the plane and you're one of those who wants to go see what, you know, it's like, oh, what happens if I fly next to Kong? Maybe Kong will see you and just swat you out of the sky, and then that's it for you, you know? Or maybe you have to get out of the plane a certain amount of time, like the trailer shows there, before he grabs it and chucks it into the ground.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Serpent Knight here says, and this is actually something I just looked up as well too, is he says there are contractual talks for a new one, so they might want to keep them fresh in people's minds. Well, that's one way to do it. I guess I could understand some of that because it looks like they're supposed to be starting filming on the new one sometime here soon, or at least sometime this year. But again, it just seems a little bizarre though, even so, like, incorporate one or the other, but when you see them combined, it's like the movie came out over a year ago. Come on, guys. You can do
Right.
better than that. But
Yeah, it
I'm just
seems weird.
I am curious though to see the dynamic side of things. If there is a dynamic side to it, but I guess I'm mostly curious. I haven't had Warzone installed for a while, like a long while now. Like I think actually like a full year. Maybe it's time to
Yeah, and
reinstall it
I've
when this
been at
comes out,
least
and
almost a year. So
maybe we need to reinstall it when this drops and just see what the hell's going on instead of watching other people play it.
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
me either. But what I do know instead, Kyle, is I want you to talk to us about this next story on the list, and this is something we've actually covered in the news, actually months ago. So let's talk about it. What do we got?
So, talks over at Sony. Apparently Sony is reportedly working on bringing advertisements to their free-to-play PlayStation games. Basically think on the grounds of what they did with like NBA, what was it? 2K, or was that the
It was NBA 2K that had it, and then
okay, yeah,
UFC 4.
and UFC, yeah.
UFC 4. Yeah, that's right.
But the in-game ads are expected to launch by the end of the year and would appear in inconspicuous places like billboards inside games. So there's another game that had actually tried this out before. I want to say back on the 360, the original Prototype did this with their in-game billboards
Sounds
that
right.
people
Yeah.
forget about, and it was just such a minor thing, but I guess to the level of where they're kind of going, it sounds like it might just be more than pictures. Like billboards could be running full length ads at potentially within the game, um, but it'd be like on an electronic billboard. So I don't know, that kind of rubs me the wrong way if it's going to be a constantly updated thing that it could affect potentially affect the install size tremendously in the long run.
Oh yeah,
What do you
especially.
think?
Oh, I absolutely agree. So we talked about this previously. So the article even mentions that Microsoft is looking into this too. So
Hmm.
it's like both companies are trying to, I guess, try to find a new way with the amount of free to play games out there to continue to rake in some of that money. But I guess part of it, yeah, is one, how exactly is the data get in there? Like, do you have to literally download an update every day, or as you're connected to like playing the game, does it just actively download that little bit of advertisement data in the background to display on your like while you're playing the game? Because I would imagine, like you said there, and I think the article said it too, right? Is that they would be, yeah, in conspicuous places. So for them to be in there, maybe it won't be so bad. Like, it's not like a mobile game where you play like for 10 minutes or 5 minutes and then you get an ad that you have to watch for 90 seconds.
But on the other
Yeah.
hand, say it's a game that does involve, I don't know, New York, and you happen to be in Times Square, and it has to download ads for all the billboards in Times Square.
Yeah. I mean, depending
all,
on
all
how
of a sudden
many.
that potentially becomes large, and some of those are video billboards, like I said. So
Mhm.
all of a sudden it's downloading video files for advertisements to your system.
That's true. Or again, it is some sort of like metadata thing where it actually just actively streams in to the game
This
itself
is a
instead of
potential
downloading it.
too.
But you are right, that is a concern. This technology was looked at before, like you made mention of like NBA 2K and UFC 4. So it's not like it's an obscure thing that people aren't really aware of, but for it to make its way to free to play games that are on consoles or PC is a very interesting um, problem. Because like one thing here, I had to go look up in-game advertising really quick too. Like, so I brought up the
Hmm.
Wikipedia article, and here's this gamer reaction section. It says gamers may feel that in-game advertising is invasive, and in some cases have dubbed in-game advertising supported software as spyware. Some gamers choose to remove advertisements from the game experience, either by paying more for an advertisement-free copy or disabling the advertisements through exploits. So, because like the article even says here too, this article from The Verge talks about what these sources are saying is that sources told Insider that Sony hasn't yet decided if it would take a portion of ad revenue, but is considering having developers and publishers pay for consumer data. Because when you get online to play a game, and depending on the advertisements you serve, that's a lot of data that could potentially go back to target even more advertisement to gamers about anything. You know, it's like, I guess, would you really want to be playing something like Forza Horizon 5, Kyle, and have one of the things you looked at on Amazon come up as a advertisement in there?
Not really. No.
Because imagine,
But
imagine especially like you're searching for something that's a little bit more like personal for yourself. Like let's say you're searching up something that, you know, you're trying to find information on, and of course there could be targeted advertising that goes with that. What if it is something personal and you're like a streamer, for example, and here's all this stuff that comes up, you know, as advertisements in your game? It could be detrimental both sides, whether it is something very personal or it could even be something inflammatory as well that drives even more problems. You know, that's what I would think is an issue.
Well, and that's one of the hangups too is a lot of the advertisers would need a lot of convincing because of what, you know, how do you pair, you know, content to mature rated games? Like, oh, well, they were just killing, you know, 50 Nazis, still people, still in a video game tech, you know, but it's still emulating murder. And then you're going to try and sell them condoms on a game? You know,
Exactly.
how do you advertise to that?
Yeah, because then it's like it runs into one of those situations, especially with free-to-play games that kids are getting into. Like, what about advertising? Like, what if that ends up making its way to Roblox or making its way to, you know, Fortnite, for example, as well? It's
Well, and Roblox has already been under fire for having, you know, adult content that has popped up from, you know, people adding content to the game that may encourage adult behavior.
It's one of those things, people, where you need to start getting ready. And if you don't want those in-game advertisements to start showing up just like everything else, maybe go get yourself a Raspberry Pi and set yourself up some Pi holes so you can filter all that stuff out from your network. Might not be a bad idea to start working on that. Especially you, Kyle, since you bought that Atari VCS retro console, and now you basically have a little server if you don't end up playing the games on it.
Right. Well, it has like a ton of free arcade games, like actual arcade games. That are on it, like classic ones. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. No,
Like,
I get that.
The arcade version of like Double Dragon and stuff. So that's exciting.
It is. It is. I know, and I can't wait to actually see it when you get that VCS. You'll have to bring it over so we can actually really
Oh, heck yeah.
check it out there, because I want to see the PC side of it too. But
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, for sure.
But anyway, no, going on that though. But yeah, it's like that might be one of those things. It's like to go and start researching how to set a Pi hole on your network with a Raspberry Pi and get everything working that way, because in-game advertisements are going to be, they've been a long time coming for console and PC games, so they're just moving faster and faster.
Well, and you know, a lot of companies have tried to combat in-game advertisements with microtransactions to supplement income from the game, especially when, you know, used markets drive, you know, profits for those companies down. So it has been a long time coming. You've got a lot of piracy out there. You've got a lot of stuff. I mean, there will be ways around it, of course, but how far do you really want to go is what it's going to come down to when you're playing a free game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how deep do you actually want to take that in-game advertisement experience, and, you know, with like respect to alienating your players, you know?
Right.
Yeah. But let's take it from, I guess it's kind of funny to say the depressing side of things, because in-game advertisements, just more advertising in general. You know, let's take it to the actually very interesting and very, like, not surprising, but still pretty cool. there has been a leak that says Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance emulators are going to be making their way to Nintendo Switch Online, but nobody has any idea on when. So this forum post over here on famaboards.com looks to be a fan site for anything Nintendo related. There is a leak that was put out on 4chan showing that Nintendo has Game Boy Advance emulator work in progress for the Nintendo Switch, and it's a matter of waiting for Switch Online just to get this emulator in the first place. So a lot of the details in here as well are really talking about some of the stuff that's coming up. I can actually bring up some of the tweets here where things were talked about and share the screen in just a second. Let's see here. Switch over to that. Bada bing, bada boom. Yep. So Trash Bandit Coot or Bandat Coot, or however he calls himself on Twitter, says, yeah, so Nintendo's official Game Boy Advance emulator for the Nintendo Switch just leaked. Now it's just a matter of waiting for NSO to add it. And so here's what was actually found in some of the extracts as well, though. The emulator itself is actually called internally Sloop, is what they're calling it. Sloop being, of course, a little ship. But so far, they've actually seen a lot of Game Boy Advance games start to make the rounds as playable, at least through some of the things that they've had leak. And some of the screenshots, of course, with what people have been able to download from the leak software. I mean, it's showing things working just fine. So, what do you think, Kyle? Do you think we're actually very close here to the potential release of all this stuff making its way, to Switch Online?
we're gonna see. I feel like either the announcement or the release of Game Boy titles, and maybe not Game Boy Advance, but Game Boy and Game Boy Color is going to be end of this year, beginning of next year. And we'll be getting Game Boy Advance probably summer of next year.
Very possible that it could be. Yeah, it could be staggered, just like they do with the releases of the.
I know I said no more
Nintendo.
predictions, but it just, it's too Nintendo. I know it's been in the works for a while, just from leaked sources that I've read and stuff, that there's potentially been something going on in the background for quite a while. But I mean, especially when you think about the fact that we're paying so much for the what is it, the expansion
the expansion pack.
The expansion pack of Nintendo Online. And have they really updated it a whole lot? I mean, the launch wasn't all that grand, and I mean, for what we got, I mean, yeah, we got 64 games, but I think I'm probably one of 5 people that actually enjoyed the Sega game collection that was on there. So I don't know. It seems a little lacking for people to join. And I know we are getting the Splatoon expansion here for Splatoon 2 before Splatoon 3 releases as part of the pack. But that's also content that's been out for 2 years now. So
yeah. But I wonder, like,
you gotta give something to that audience that's paying that much for the expansion pack.
Oh, true.
Online experience, and still nothing for voice communication.
Yeah, God, come on, Nintendo, get that one figured out. But what I find interesting though is like you said, with the tiers in that for Nintendo Switch Online, I wonder if like Game Boy and Game Boy Color will be in the regular tier for Switch Online, and expansion pack will include Game Boy Advance.
I could see potentially Game Boy being added to the original Nintendo Online service, but Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance being added to the expansion pass or expansion pack, and then potentially later on maybe knocking Game Boy Color back down to the expansion pack, or maybe swapping Sega Genesis down to the standard, and then leaving Game Boy and Game Boy Color as part of the expansion pack experience.
No, that's an interesting thought on this too. That's very possible that they could completely restructure all of Switch Online and where things go out. One thing I want to mention though here is that in that Twitter thread, what Trash Bandicoot said here is that and even though there is a Game Boy emulator, only 4 playable games were found: Super Mario Land, The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, Quicks, and Tetris. And it's not a surprise to actually see like first-party titles like Super Mario Land and The Legend of Zelda being there. Quicks, I don't know what game that is, but Tetris was, effectively a launch title for the Game Boy and
Yeah.
did so well, and it was one of those games that a lot of people, especially those in Japan who would be commuting, whether their daily life, would just pull out a Game Boy and start playing Tetris on the train while going between work and home and work, and so on. But Serpent Knight here actually adds again on in chat saying, will they have the color palettes as seen on the Super Game Boy? I'm guessing not, but that would be nice. That's something that hasn't really been shown off in the leaks just yet. I
think that's pessimistic. I think they would, just because that's a Nintendo thing. They did that when they put out the Game Boy Colors, as well as with the GameCube Game Boy player. You could do the color palette swap on the originals. So I think they would actually, honestly.
Maybe. I mean, keep a lot of that original functionality, so maybe possible.
Yeah.
One other thing was also mentioned here too, or two other things that are actually pretty big, and I think these are probably neat to know, especially, is so we got one, which is that the Game Boy emulators there, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, will actually support a link cable functionality in them, meaning that if you are playing with someone else on a Switch, while they have their own Switch and you have yours, and you're both playing on those Game Boy emulators, you can actually emulate a link cable connection. So if you guys wanted to play, say, Pokemon Red versus Blue, get into a battle with each other, even doing trading between each other, that will at least be a function that's there.
That's super cool.
I have to admit, though, outside of the Pokemon games, I don't know what else the link cable was actually used for. I don't know what else there was. You have to forgive me on that, but I just don't remember.
It depended on what generation. There was tons that you used the link cable for. If you wanted to do Tetris 2-player,
I remember the link cable port was used like on the Game Boy Advance for interacting with the GameCube for Legend of Zelda 4 Swords.
They actually used it also for the Crystal Chronicles if you wanted to play 4-player.
Oh, yeah.
Each of the players had their own map that only revealed certain things to that player.
That's right. Yes, I remember now.
So you had to communicate and stuff. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. But no, I just straight up link cable, console to console. I just or handheld to handheld. I couldn't remember.
Those were the days, man.
Yeah, dragging that cable along, especially. So, but there was
trading
that.
your Pokemon around.
Yeah, no kidding. But there's that, and then the other part of the leak that also came out here too, and this is based on what's been at least seen so far, however, not yet, I think, validated in testing. There appears to be an option where the Nintendo 64 emulator in Switch Online expansion pack will be able to work with a basically emulation of the transfer pack. Now, the transfer pack is the attachment for the bottom of the controller that allows you to pop in a Game Boy or Game Boy Color game and interact with that game on other things on the Nintendo 64. One of the big ones that everybody should really be aware of is Pokemon Stadium. And Pokemon Stadium 2.
I was about to say, does that mean we could get our own team and do stadium battles again?
Yes.
That would be super cool.
Exactly, yes. So you could actually take that game, load it in, and be able to take your team from from the game that you're playing in Pokemon and bring them into Stadium to fight other Pokemon in there too. So that was a big thing, especially for us as kids, because not only that, but I know you could do it with Game Boy games on the Super Nintendo, but also with the N64, you can, with that game plugged in, you can actually play it in a Game Boy emulator on your N64. So you could actually play through the game there. Wouldn't that be a hell of a loop, though, is that they add Game Boy Color support for Switch Online, and you use the transfer pack functionality to play a Game Boy Color game that's being emulated through the Nintendo 64, which is being emulated through its own Game Boy emulation, too. It's like a weird loop is what you're effectively doing to be able to make it work. It's just...
The internet would catch fire.
It
You
probably
can't
will.
do that.
I'm already smelling smoke. So those are a couple things that just I thought were interesting to point out. You're not wrong. You're seriously not wrong that we could potentially see that. That we could
Yeah.
see everybody go crazy with that type of loop. But
I don't know.
I
I could see him doing it with Pokemon just as a weird, like you want to do the redundancy loop just to see what it'll do. Okay, because Nintendo does wacky things every now and then. They'd probably take it out a year after, but
probably. Oh,
I don't
probably.
know. The fact that we could potentially play Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, and then take our team effectively from those games and have stadium battles once again with one another. I loved that in junior high. It was so much fun. Man, I bought Pokemon Stadium for my 64 just to do that, and I don't have a transfer pack, but this makes it like totally unnecessary to have picked up that game now.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one. So rumor on date though, before we move on to our next story here, is supposedly this could very well have a release in September. Further along in the forums, some people are speculating that this release could come out in September because August 29th, you won't be able to buy Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games from the 3DS and Wii U eShop.
Mm-hmm.
So by cutting it off in August or announcing it here sometime soon and setting a September release date means that things might be available, relatively quick, so to speak.
Yeah, but I think it also gives them the finite that they're done with everything else. This is what their focus is. You don't need to worry about your previous generation devices. Now this is where it's at.
Yeah, it's just kind of the unfortunate part of it is just time goes on.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's just where we're at right now, at least on the rumors and such. There is stuff out there that looks like it is official internal code there for Nintendo to be able to make these things work. So keep your eyes out for any sort of special Nintendo Direct coming up where they're going to announce things like this, because I'm sure it's probably coming here pretty soon.
Right.
But let's talk about this next one here because, of course, as fans of Valve games, we know that this will probably not happen, but one can hope. Portal Writer wants to write more Portal. So Eric Wolpa was in an interview and talked about here, this article is from Kotaku, says that he wants to work on writing for a third Portal game. He is just at the point, and that's him and the development team that originally wrote, stuff for the Portal series. They are ready to get working on Portal 3. All it takes is Valve to say go. What do you think?
So, I guess I didn't read the full article because I just kind of skimmed it before. But were they the story writers? Did they write the communication between the characters? What part of the game did they actually write for?
Let's take a look here. So he's listed as Eric Wolpa has been a video game writer for almost 20 years now. He was a co-writer on Psychonauts. He was a writer on Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Episode 2. He was a writer on Portal, co-writer on Left 4 Dead, writer for Portal 2, Artifact, co-writer for Half-Life Alyx, and writer for Aperture Desk Job, which is the
He
Steam Deck
probably
training game.
wrote the story and a lot of the interaction between characters on both campaign and co-op campaign. Then I would assume.
Yeah. So my guess is that a lot of it is that he wrote the story and he wrote dialogue, at least that went with it. So he's very integral to what we know and love for what Portal is. But he and the team, he even makes it clear. He's like, I am not getting any younger. We are reaching the point where it's crazy to think that the original development team is literally going to be too old to work on Portal 3. So we should just do it. And again, even Kotaku makes mention here, Portal 2 was released in 2011. That game is, 11 years old now this year? So, That's a big thing.
Yeah.
But we know what Portal's like when it comes to the number 3. So
Well, that's any Valve game, it seems like it has a hard time reaching that third installment. But
yeah, it's just
who's to say? I mean,
I don't know.
they could have taken enough break from Portal. I mean, they never actually say for certain if Aperture Labs, if there's only one lab, or there could be labs all over the world. They don't even say if it takes place in the technically. I mean, I think Black Mesa is mentioned a few times in Portal, but they don't actually say if it takes place in the same dimension as what's going on in Half-Life. So, I mean, and they could also continue with maybe making the that player-made expansion canon, so they could continue on from that as well.
Maybe
Because don't forget that there was that player-made
Maybe.
expansion. I never finished it, unfortunately. I should probably go back and
You're
do it because
talking
I was
Black
close
Mesa,
to the
right?
end.
Or are you talking about a
What-
different
what's up?
expansion? Which expansion in particular are you talking about?
The one for Portal. Let me see if I can scroll down and find
Expansion
it.
for Portal.
I'm trying to remember what it was. But I want to say
And it was a fan created
you had to.
because okay.
Yeah, you had to think in 3 dimensions, and the third dimension was actually time.
Okay. And I mean that might be one of those other
Yeah.
realities that they kind of put into it, especially with
Let me do a search
kind of
for it.
traveling through time in a sense with what happened in Portal 2, and of course the
Yeah,
introduction.
Portal
of,
Reloaded.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. That I actually remember that now.
Mhm.
But, I mean, that could be another thing that actually gets introduced as an official mechanic, though, if a Portal 3 were to ever exist. But he's just, Valve has really transitioned to one of those that's kind of more developing a lot of like hardware and software for hardware than they are actually
Right.
developing games more than anything. Of course, all the investment in VR. We've got the Steam Deck that's still shipping out to everybody.
But
It
I mean,
doesn't
we
mean
can't
that they
even
can't do
necessarily
it.
say
But
that.
no, it doesn't mean they
'Cause
can't
they-
do it. But
Yeah, I mean, they did just put out Half-Life Alyx when they put out the Index. So, I
Sure.
mean, granted, it was, kind of their showcase software to showcase their device, their tech demo, but it was a full-length game, and one of the longest VR titles that, is a full-length story anyway. So that's one thing to consider, that they continue to set the bar for the gaming industry as far as what the industry is capable of doing, as far as gameplay and as far as writing and story and progression. So
well, the other thing I wonder though too is that like Half-Life Alyx was made as like a VR title. Like it's like here is
Right.
our core VR title, and then Desk Job, Portal Desk Job was built as kind of a way to help people get used to playing on the Steam Deck. Get used to
yeah,
the
that was a
litany of
tech
controls.
demo.
Exactly. So, what's the likelihood? And maybe this is a concern for them that they. This is just an idea here. That this isn't anything that we've read or seen. But what's the potential that they could be trying to look at a way to make Portal a third Portal game as a VR title instead? But the problem that you run into
be
though is that
Cool.
it would be cool. But I think part of the problem though is that with the amount of movement, motion, and even like all the portals you're actually going through, trying to get from point A to point B, and especially some of those disassociating things where say like you shoot a portal the wrong way, and so when you come out of that portal, you immediately flip around so your head's upside down. Is it possible that they've experimented with that stuff and there's just too much disassociation going on, and they're finding more and more players are actually getting sick from doing that, motion sickness from
Right.
those types of things. But it makes me wonder if we could see something like that when we see the next phase of VR for Valve. The Index 2, the Index Pro, the Index Squared, if you call it. I don't know what I would call it.
Yeah.
But that's just my thought on it, is that because of the investment in VR and the portable stuff, who knows? Maybe it could be the next Steam Deck and the next VR headset that come out. You join them together, and now you can play Portal in VR on the go with this setup. Could it be that?
Right.
But again, just an idea.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and wrap up here with this other story we've got. And of course, don't have a tagline for it here, but it's actually an interesting one, and it's actually would be really cool to see if it does happen. Kyle, you actually shared this one with me, so talk about it, man. What is going on here in this world?
So, as a rumor, and I guess it is supposed to be more than just rumor, but there's no actual images of it yet. But for the 50th anniversary of Atari, Lego is actually going to be producing a Lego 2600 console with the joystick. So similar to the Lego NES that we received. What was it, 2 years ago now, or was it a year ago?
It was about a year ago.
Yeah, about a year ago. But similar to the Lego NES, with the TV and the Mario, of course, being is that there is no images and no actual confirmed design yet for it. We don't know if it'll just be the console and the paddle, or if it will be, you get to build a cartridge and a TV to go along with it. I don't know. I'm excited. I personally want to get the NES. Just because I've gotten back into the Legos thing, and of course in my background I've got my Sonic Green Hill 1-1.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just this announcement, especially after ordering that new Atari VCS, this is really cool for me.
As cool as this one is, I would almost see it like what I think would be really neat for them to do is if they sold these in like two different forms. Is if you already have the NES and TV, the one that came in that set, could you buy the console separately and have a one of those scenes that you could actually change out in the TV? So as you turn the little crank to actually move things on the screen itself, it's an Atari game instead. You're just changing out the track to do that. And then another pack would be both the TV and the console.
That would be cool. However, the one hiccup I have with the Atari, and the reason I say it better come with at least a blank TV with maybe an Atari logo on it, is the price point is set for actually $200 US, which makes it only $30 less than the Nintendo NES.
Is that what that's going for? Is the Lego NES? Okay.
$229.
Jesus Christ. Okay, that's okay. So being around the $200 price point, it's going to have to come with a TV then, I guess.
Yeah, it better come with the old boob tube. At least, even if it just comes with a blank screen or a blank screen that you can put an Atari logo onto, I would be happy with that. Atari games aren't super difficult to, picture. So if they gave you enough of a screen, you could almost put your own mock-up of an Atari game, even if it was like Pitfall or something. Adventure Square, probably one of the most simple ones, or Pong.
Or instead, Kyle, come on, I know you're gonna do it. E.T.
Oh God!
Yes, get your own ability to print your own label to slap right there on the front of that cartridge to be able to have ET on there, and then every time you get to admire this Lego console that you've built, you also look and realize that you were silly enough to do
a thing that broke the game industry one time.
Yeah. Exactly. Way to go. That's exactly on you for doing that. It was just an idea, just because of the history with ET anyway. But I want to ask you this though, before we wrap things up here on the weekly news roundup, of course, about these Legos, is that not only have we seen the investment in all of the Mario Legos, Not only the interactive ones, which quite frankly, with all the sets, it feels overpriced, but it is at least neat to see
Yeah.
them do that. We have, this more like adult collector one, not only with the NES console and the TV, but also the question block that opens up to Super Mario 64.
Hmm.
And now, of course, you've got the Sonic set that came out. That you have, of course, sitting right behind you. With all this
Well,
investment
and
in
prior to that, Minecraft and
Minecraft, especially, yeah,
yeah, there was one other. Oh, Overwatch. They've done
Overwatch.
Overwatch as
They
well.
did Overwatch as well, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're forgetting a few other video game ones potentially.
So,
But I'm talking at least about more like recent stuff, especially as it relates more to the nostalgia of video games, especially going back to
hmm
like our childhood. Um, what do you think is going to be happening going forward with Lego and more of this stuff? Because there's already rumors going around that we're going to have another console release here soon, another Nintendo console release in Lego form, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's the Super Nintendo, because if it is, that is going
oh,
to be
it
the
will
one
be.
I will pick up. But that's there's the rumor of that. I mean, I know that the Sonic set was, I think that was a Lego Idea set that then ended up evolving and then getting, the stamp of approval from Sega.
Mhm.
But what do you think could potentially happen going forward, though? Like, what else is there, that you would like to see as a fan for both being a gamer and with Lego?
Oh man, I really like the idea of them going back to some of the classics like this, like the Sonic and Mario. I don't know what other franchises though they could tackle. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the actual Mario sets. I think the figures look kind of wonky and just weird.
Yeah.
It really worked out good for the Sonic set, just because the way the blocks are and the way that the landscape was actually uh drawn and animated in the original Sonic game. It worked out perfect for it.
Yeah, it wasn't
Um,
anything it wasn't like the Mario ones where they're so blocky and out of place and they've got that interactivity to them, because you don't need that for Sonic.
right, right. I don't know. I could see them going further into the video game world. I hate to see it maybe potentially go in the way of like Fortnite, but or Call of Duty, God forbid. But it, if they did some more like interesting fun sets, like they could do potentially Crash Bandicoot, Sly Cooper would be really cool, I think.
Sly Cooper may not be too bad, but as many fans as there are of it, it just makes me think it's I hate to say obscure with Sly Cooper, but
It
I
is a
just
little
don't know.
obscure. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of ideas, both in just basic play sets for children, as well as some of the idea or creator sets that are more targeted for adult audiences that could potentially be out there as far as the video game franchises, and even just the companies that put out the video games. Nintendo, Sega, some of the smaller companies even, um, might have chances to have some success on the Lego front as far as collectibles.
Yeah, because there's been enough at least nostalgic stuff out there to, um, I mean, there's enough of nostalgia with what's built up that like the sky is the limit really when it comes to like what they could build out and make. Um,
Hmm.
but I guess maybe for my side, what I would like to see, um, oh my God, I know they won't make it because I know what Nintendo's stance is really on making weapons and that really more than anything. I know we used to see like the old West Lego that had like, their little revolver type guns and that too, but
Yeah.
would be like accessories for the NES console, like the zapper, the zapper would be one. It'd be also interesting to see them make the power glove as well to go with the
Ooh, that would
NES,
be
or
cool.
like a Lego Rob as well. Would that be one of those things that they could potentially come out with? Is it's like take some of these additional attachments or expansions of the console themselves and release those. As long as we don't get a Virtual Boy. I don't want a Lego Virtual Boy because I know I won't get headaches from it. But as I go to put my eyes up to it to see whatever's inside, I'm going to stab myself in the face with Lego. It's not what I want. Okay, so just
Y-
let's clear the air on that one.
You know, here. How about this? They just go the next step, and they send you a board, and you get to make a Lego original Game Boy that actually works.
A Lego Game Boy that actually works. Well, from what
They
we
send you the board and the screen,
yeah.
and you have to build the actual case, but it's all Lego parts.
Well, from stuff we've seen, like especially like how Lego has actually evolved. Like, I mean, you and I looked at pictures of when the original Slave 1 was released back from the late 90s, early 2000s, and the more recent Slave 1 that's now available to purchase. And you see,
Or
like we've
shoot,
seen the
even
quality changes.
that R2D2
Mm-hmm.
compared
yeah.
to the R2D2 that they have on the shelf right now for the creator set. That once again, one of those sets that's more targeted towards adults. And I'm pretty sure that the original R2D2 from back in 2001 was more targeted towards a teenage audience. But as far as like detail
Probably.
and everything goes, the one for now is like miles beyond what they had back then.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, would I like to see a handheld though? Like see them bring out like a Lego Game Boy? Oh, that'd be awesome. That would be cool. It wouldn't cost. It should not cost $229 though. Don't get
I
me
would
wrong.
like to see a Sega Genesis. I'd like to see more Sonic
Mhm.
like landscapes, I guess. They could do that with Mario too. I would really like to see Mario landscapes. Get me, the Bowser um scene just at the end of the level, with the axe and the bridge and everything. Give me Bowser, you know. Let me build that. That'd be really cool, I think.
That would be slick. No, I
Yeah.
100% there with you is to make some more of those, especially because they've already proven that they can do that with what the actual little flip out modules of the question block look like. Just
Right,
expand that a
right.
little bit more. Yeah, it's perfect.
Because each one of those it's supposed to be what a miniaturized representation of each one of the lands in Mario 64 or something like that.
Yeah, it's not every single one of them, but it's more of the recognizable ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. So, yeah, give us some of those too. Yeah, for those collectors who can't spend $230 on a Lego set, give us something else that we can kind of backfill with.
Hmm.
So that's my thought on it. But anyway, so that's it though for the news this week, or at least as it's been curated by us. There's plenty of other stories that have been going on out there this week as well, especially with the most recent announcement about apparently a private equity firm is looking to acquire Ubisoft. But that's of course all new news, and we'll have to just see how things play out going into other discussions, and we'll talk about that in next week's weekly news roundup. But of course, you're watching us here on YouTube, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so that way when we do go live again with the next weekly news roundup, you're able to tune in, catch us on there, and talk with us, of course, about all the different news events from this week. And of course, be sure to go check out our podcast. We talk about Battle Royale games in this next episode of the NPCs Discussed this upcoming Thursday, so be sure to go and subscribe to your to us on your favorite podcast platform of choice, or go check us out on anchor.fm/the-NPCs-podcast. But with that, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch you all in the next one.
Bye-bye.